A government board recommended that 45,000 wild horses and burros be killed to make room for cattle. The Bureau of Land Management, known as the BLM, voted to euthanize those animals in all government-run.
Something extraordinary is developing beneath the surface of the tropical Pacific, which has the power to reshape weather across the globe. It is a natural climate pattern called El Nino.
But I have long been on this UAP thing. And now, I've sort of surrendered that portfolio to someone else who you know well, who's very much in charge of the UAP issue.
I've been as poor as anybody could be, so I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. So I just kind of work without fear because it's fun for me. It's like, if I fail, it's no big deal. If something don't...
Welcome to the sacrificed.
Target is apologizing today after facing backlash over a kid's Halloween costume that some people believed evoked blackface and racist minstrel shows. Here's the costume sold as the kid's glows under backlight circus clown Halloween costume. And here's how some people responded to all of it online.
We told you all that Target didn't give a damn about black folks. And y'all didn't give a damn because they got a couple of black folks' products in their store.
You're gonna tell me that this wasn't purposely styled like this or this? The same actual pose from a real minstrel show.
If you are black, this is just like activating like an ancestral rage in you probably, right?
So the retail giant says in a statement, as a company, we know we got this wrong and we are deeply sorry. The costume is offensive and should never have been part of our assortment. And they've also been pulled from the shelves. This isn't the first time Target's been at the center of the culture war, of course, facing criticism after the company rolled back DEI programs and for selling and then canceling Pride apparel for kids a few years back. NBC's Dana Griffin is following this story. Dana, what else is Target saying about how it is trying to make this right?
Yeah, so in a statement, Tom, Target goes on to add that we know this is especially hurtful for our black guests, team members, and partners. Removing the costume is an important first step, and the company is looking closely at how this happened and what needs to change to ensure this won't happen again. Now, Target declined to comment on who designed the product and which was sold under the retailer's seasonal hide and eek boutique brand. The controversy, as you mentioned, reigniting that criticism over Target's decision last year to roll back some of its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. And some are now questioning who was in the room when this costume was greenlit. Many wondering if they had more diverse voices, maybe they would have flagged the misstep before it had reached shoppers.
Devastation and heartbreak for a South Florida father after his wife and daughter were killed by a lightning strike. Good afternoon, I'm Naja Sherman. He says it happened so fast and was just feet away from the strike yesterday afternoon. CBS News Miami's Morgan Reiner is your reporter in Margate with the latest.
The dad broke down in tears as he was describing his wife and daughter. He said all they were trying to do was get from the car in the driveway to the front door when lightning struck. All it took was a matter of seconds and feet, and he lost his wife and daughter.
Monday morning, Cameron Glasgow is trying to process how his family was torn apart in seconds.
My daughter, my wife, amazing people. Amazing people, my wife. The biggest heart in the world. Puts everybody before herself. Everybody. That was my hero next to my dad. Because I wanted to show for people how my wife does. She helped make me into the man that I am today.
He said they were headed into the house for a family dinner when lightning struck Sunday afternoon, killing his wife, Kenya Glasgow, and their 2-year-old daughter, Kennedy.
We saw that the rain was picking up, and we just said, hey, we got to get the girls inside. So just simple thing that anybody would do. Hey, put a blanket on their head, let's just get inside.
Kennedy, seen here with her twin sister Kinsley.
It's gonna crush my heart when she starts looking for her sister and her mom, but I mean, that's just something we just gotta get used to.
Glasgow described Kennedy as infectious, could sing every word to Benson Boone.
It's gonna be tough to lose somebody that I've been with for half my life. It's gonna be tough, but I'll be okay because I have to be, because I have another beautiful daughter that's inside there. But for her to lose her twin sister, words can't describe that feeling.
June 2002, over Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, a service member watches the stars start blinking out. Something huge passing overhead, west to east, a perfect triangle, 500 feet across, deadly silent, steady speed, not a single light on it. The guy next to him saw it too. He turned and said, "Did you see that?" 2011, 2 more service members, another sighting. Where it happened, the government still won't say. 2023, now it's over an American backyard. A former defense employee on his porch when a silent triangle drops as low as 300 feet. No wings, no engine, no rumble. He said if it hadn't been a clear night, he never would have caught it. Gone in 4 seconds. Same city, same year, another witness, another black triangle. This one's pixelated, kind of distorted, with a red light burning in each 3 of the corners. Whatever these are, they keep showing up where they absolutely shouldn't.
Probably the most interesting thing in this release is numerous reports of triangle-shaped UAP seen over sensitive military sites, eyewitness reports by credible military personnel, and over the course of many decades. And I know from my own sources that these triangle UAP have been seen all over the world for decades.
And you say they're big?
They're very big, yeah. They're large, they move in ways that no known aircraft can. And this is a reoccurring type of UAP that's seen all over the world.
Welcome back. It's been nearly 3 decades since thousands of Arizonans looked up at the night sky and saw something they cannot fully explain. The mysterious Phoenix lights, a formation of glowing orbs hovering over the valley, becoming one of the most talked about mass sightings in U.S. history. And still to this day, there is no definitive answer.
And we still don't know what it was, but there are plenty of theories out there. It was the evening of March 13th, 1997. People across Arizona, especially here in the valley, reported seeing a silent, miles-long V-shaped group of lights gliding quietly overhead, prevailing years.
Now, of course, we're much more open to it recently as being real, and the Phoenix Lights is one of the premier mass sightings that they're looking at as being authentic, because thousands of people saw these massive craft or objects hover right over them, glide right over them, rooftop level. Some people said they could have thrown a stone at it. It was that close.
On March 13th, 1997, while thousands of people were looking skyward for a glimpse of the Hale-Bopp comet.
What's a conspiracy theory that you believe in? I'm asking both of you.
A conspiracy theory that I believe in? Well, okay, it's not a conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Okay, and, but I have long been on this UAP thing.
Okay.
And now, you know, I've sort of surrendered that portfolio to someone else who you know well, who's very much in charge of the UAP issue. Again, it's not, what I say is, I don't know who it is, I don't know what it is, but there are things flying over our military installation and they're not ours, and we should look into this, be serious about it. And I did that for a long time in the Senate, and it had 2 benefits. The first is that obviously it's a legitimate topic, and the second is, whatever the news of the day was, it was controversial, and a reporter comes up to you, and you say to them, look, I don't have time for these questions about politics. Do you realize there's things flying over airspace? You know, we don't know what they are. And the reporter's like, oh, what do you know? Tell me more. So it was extraordinarily effective as a diversionary tactic in addition to. Now that said, it's also a very legitimate topic that we should be covering. So I don't call it a conspiracy. I don't know the answer to any of it. I'm just, you know, asking the questions about, you know, we should know what's flying over our airspace. But I don't think that's a conspiracy theory as much as it is just, it can be in some sense because people do believe we're covering something up. And I assure you, like in this administration, if we knew, like the president would be all over it. Like there would be, you know, prime time address. He would, you know, he'd be showing the pictures and the videos. But, you know, Stephen's on that case now, and I think he's doing a great job.
This morning, major security concerns at Air Force bases across the country with drones breaching multiple airspaces.
Damning documents revealing nearly 150 of the unmanned aircraft were spotted flying at bases in Sydney, Queensland, Adelaide and Newcastle. Live now to Jack Hahn in Richmond in Sydney's northwest. Jack, do we know who's flying these drones?
Yeah, Sylvia, Tom, good morning to you. Simply put, to answer your question, no, not at least publicly, but this morning, defence officials speaking to the newspaper are now pleading with Australia's top spy agency to get involved, ASIO, to figure out who is deploying these drones, and then secondly, to figure out where these images and the information is being sent, and is it being sent to a foreign adversary. This is News Corp reporting this morning that at least 147 drones have been detected at Air Force bases across the country, as you pointed out.
We see this in big cities, or we picture this happening in big cities, not in Montana, and certainly not in Billings, Montana.
A mass shooting and destructive fire, killing 8 members of a blended family inside their home near Billings, Montana.
This is a house where you saw a family out front all the time.
Generations now gone. The victims include 4 children, ages 7, 12, 13, and 15, and 4 adults, a 92-year-old great-grandmother, 73-year-old grandfather, 72-year-old grandmother, and a 39-year-old mother.
There were shots fired at this location with responders on scene.
Loved ones are hailing 12-year-old Charlotte Hikari as a hero who called 911 to try to save her family. But authorities say they cannot confirm that just yet.
I don't think tragic is a strong enough word for this. It's worse than that. A family has been devastated and may never recover.
Police say the shooter is another member of the family, 44-year-old Alan Smith. He's accused of murdering his grandmother, parents, sister, nieces, and nephews at what was supposed to be a family dinner on Sunday before turning the gun on himself in the backyard.
The family deserves answers, and we want to give them those answers.
According to CBS News, the ex-husband of the slain mother and the father of 2 of the child victims lives in Arizona. He told reporters his ex-brother-in-law was recently asked by his parents to move out and described him as a hermit.
Some of this is the family story to tell and not law enforcement's.
And the Yellowstone County Sheriff said he was touched to see the family's personal Bible and most of a family photo album survived the carnage. And when you see all of the damage in some of the video we have, it's pretty remarkable.
Something extraordinary is developing beneath the surface of the tropical Pacific, which has the power to reshape weather across the globe. It is a natural climate pattern called El Nino.
The trade winds that normally blow from east to west, they weaken, they reverse. That allows very, very warm water to move and pool on the eastern side of the Pacific, and that can have really big impacts on weather patterns around the world.
Climate scientists are sounding the alarm about this year's El Nino. They say the weather phenomenon, which starts in the Pacific Ocean, could be the most severe in living memory. The results could be record-breaking global temperatures in 2027 and natural disasters the likes of which the world hasn't seen in a century.
But before that, we got to the bad news today, didn't we? That our cost of living is on the up again because of higher energy bills. But another big factor in the rising cost of our weekly shop is a huge climate system on the other side of the world. It is called El Nino. And while it can have a devastating effect on nearby countries, it is unlikely to have a direct effect on the weather here. But it may well have a huge bearing on the price of essential goods. And scientists are predicting this year's super El Nino could be the biggest yet.
The El Nino weather phenomenon can fan the flames of already extreme weather. Australia and Canada more prone to wildfires. Deadly floods like these in Libya taking thousands of lives and millions of homes, whilst areas like southern Africa can be ravaged by drought. This year's event, triggered by heating in the Pacific 6,000 miles away, is being described as a
Godzilla
El Nino.
Tonight, harrowing images from when the flooding hit.
Look.
Passengers on a bus panicking as they watch people trying to outrun a monster wave. A surveillance camera on the Tibet side of the China-Nepal border showing crowds running for cover just before a building is wiped away by a wall of water. Tonight, the trail of destruction along the border catastrophic. Construction workers scrambling to escape as the wave barrels towards them. That red truck also trying to outrun the torrent of water, but eventually is swept away. Buses lined up on this parking garage, quickly destroyed. In Nepal, before and after images showing the overwhelming scale of destruction. Entire communities along the border submerged in water and mud, effectively erased. In all, hundreds are now missing, including nearly 300 foreign tourists. Nepal officials say dozens of Americans among them. The Nepal army has been deployed to the areas hardest hit. Many now buried in mud, this woman among the survivors. What caused the floods is still unclear, though officials believe an earthquake might have triggered an ice avalanche that unleashed disaster.
Tonight, the State Department confirms at least 54 Americans are impacted by this disaster in Nepal. Here in China, officials say they are rushing in rescue teams, so this really is a race against the clock on both sides of the border.
We're going to be experiencing weather that we've never seen before.
As well as the human cost, there's an economic impact too. And everything from your shampoo to your phone, even your trainers, could all be affected by it. So how worried should we be? When might this hit? And how soon until we have to pay for extreme weather?
And if you have to put it into context for us, I mean, how would you describe what makes this El Nino different from the strong events that we've seen before?
Yeah, it's just supercharged. So there's more heat in that part of the Pacific. Therefore, it has some really extreme local events. It'll lead to flooding, particularly the eastern side of South America, droughts across the western side of the Pacific, so Australia. Again, we're going to see those stories of wildfires coming out. We saw that with the last El Nino event in Australia, and they're going to be even more severe because of this event, because it's a much more extreme event. And right around the world, we'll see temperatures rising. So we're pretty much guaranteed 2027 will be the hottest year on record. We can say that now before we've even got into the year.
Wow.
Because of this El Nino event. It's just going to put so much extra heat and energy into the atmosphere. Pretty much guaranteed that now.
More drought and more flooding. This year's El Nino will fuel weather extremes, and meteorologists are reaching for their strongest superlatives. The UK Met Office says the weather phenomenon will be unprecedented and the strongest in 100 years. El Nino is a natural phenomenon that sets in when winds that typically blow from east to west temporarily ease. That allows warm water, which is normally pushed to the western Pacific, to spread eastwards. Scientists typically declare an El Niño when sea surface temperatures in a key area of the Pacific are 0.5 degrees above average. By July this year, we were already at 2 degrees. The latest forecasts from the Met Office suggest that warming could exceed 3 degrees later this year. Others have even projected the water temperature to reach 4 degrees above average. If that happens, it could be the El Niño of the millennium. The hotter surface temperature in the Pacific has consequences for the weather across the world. Less rain in the orange areas and more rain in the blue ones. The results: severe drought, wildfires, and extreme flooding. In the past, agricultural failure and disruptions in crop yields have caused spikes in food prices and threatened food security for millions. If the numbers hold true, this El Niño will have bigger consequences than ever before.
This El Niño will have bigger consequences than ever before.
Just a few hours ago, the Washington County Sheriff identified the suspect in that quintuple homicide as 36-year-old Benjamin Parker. And this all started around 5 a.m. Saturday when firefighters discovered the 5 victims killed after responding to reports of a car fire at a home roughly 5 miles northwest of Forest Grove on Northwest Otis Lane. Now, the sheriff tonight announced that the suspect, Parker, was found dead inside of his claw nearly 200 miles away in Enumclaw, Washington, outside of Seattle. Sheriff Caprice Massey tonight said they believe he died from suicide. K2's Jennifer Singh has been on this case all weekend long, joining us live and looking ahead into this week. So, Jen, I know that we are still working to find out how deputies tied Parker, the suspect, to the scene, and Parker's relationship to those 5 victims, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Dire warning to the president, saying that his short-term solution comes at the sacrifice of long-term U.S. food security.
It's part of a letter signed by the 4 major leaders of the U.S. livestock industry. They're urging President Trump to reconsider his plan to flood the precarious U.S. market with foreign beef. The letter reads, "Ranchers and farmers are finally experiencing strong beef demand needed to invest in their operations after years of drought, high input costs, and processing plant disruptions. This announcement will discourage investment in the U.S. cow herd and undo the progress producers have made." Despite the backlash, the administration is doubling down. Here's Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins.
I don't believe there has ever been a president more focused on agriculture or rural America or our ranchers and our farmers than this president.
The proclamation vows the move will cut beef prices by 25%. It also removes tariffs from these imports, which account for about 660 million pounds of meat. The first round of imports are expected September 1st.
A government board recommended that 45,000 wild horses and burros be killed to make room for cattle. The Bureau of Land Management, known as the BLM, voted to euthanize those animals in all government-run holding facilities in the U.S. Exactly when the horses would be killed, that's not been decided yet. But animal rights advocates are outraged by the decision. In a statement, the U.S. Humane Society senior VP said, quote, "The decision of the BLM Advisory Board to recommend the destruction of 45,000 wild horses currently in holding facilities is a complete abdication of responsibility for their care. The Humane Society of the U.S. stands ready to implement these alternatives at any time."
Are we expecting a beef deal?
I assume you're talking about beef, yeah. To get beef prices down, the only price we have that's high is beef, and we'll get that down. And one of the things we're thinking about doing is beef from Argentina.
But my question is, what do you have to say to U.S. farmers who feel that the deal is benefiting Argentina more than it is them, they are
Argentina's fighting for its life, young lady. You don't know anything about it. They're fighting for their life. Nothing's benefiting Argentina. They're fighting for their life. You understand what that means? They have no money. They have no anything. They're fighting so hard to survive. If I can help them survive in a free world, I happen to like the president of Argentina. I think he's trying to do the best he can, but don't make it sound like they're doing great. They are dying, all right? They're dying.
What do you mean by a beef deal, sir?
We would buy some beef from Argentina. If we do that, that will bring our beef prices down. Because our groceries are down, our energy prices are down. I think we're going to have $2 gasoline pretty soon. We're getting close. And everything's down. The one thing that's kept up is beef. And if we buy some beef, now I'm not talking about that much from Argentina, that would help Argentina, which we consider a very good country, a very good ally in a place. Although I must tell you, if you take a look now, South America is turning. Those South American countries are starting to turn very much toward us. They're getting away from socialism, and you can go right down the pack. But they are starting to turn. It's pretty amazing.
I've been going to the Iowa State Fair for the better part of 20 years. I've been there in good weather and bad weather. I've shown livestock there. I've eaten just about every kind of fair food there is. And I honestly thought that I had witnessed the deepest depths of stupidity that the human race could possibly fucking conjure up there years ago. But I was wrong. Because I gotta tell you, to the flag-chucking, MAGA cap-wearing chuckle fucks at the Cattlemen's Association today talking about how I still love Trump, even though he just sold your fucking ass down the river, and unless he writes you another government assistance check, that foreign beef means you're gonna be scraping your fucking pocket change to pay the rent. You take the fucking cake! How does it feel to be a cuck for an 80-year-old man? I gotta know. Because honestly, this motherfucker will shit his pants, look you in the eye, and fuck you, and you thank him for it. How does that feel? If you're thinking to yourself, boy, Luke, you're being a little rough on the farmers here. You might be able to change their minds with this. I love you, but no. And you know how I know that? Because this is the third or the fourth or the fifth fucking time where Donald Trump has done something that fucks them vigorously. They come up with a little weak, half-assed, sir, we'd really appreciate it if you didn't do this because we might have to love you a little less. He writes them a check with our fucking money and suddenly they're A-okay with it. I'm fucking done with it.
Counter drone squads at the bases, and there should be drone interceptors. This thing can be stopped.
Do we have any idea at this stage about where these drones have come from and who's been flying them?
No, because Defence hasn't been able to find that out. They seem to think it's a police problem, but if they had shot down some of these drones, they could be in a better position to track the owners. It's probably a mix of enthusiasts and spies.
I mean, you'd be worried about the enthusiasts at this point. What are they up to? There are calls for ASIO to investigate this now. Would that be appropriate in your view?
Well, absolutely, but why is it left to public calls for government agencies to do their basic job? I mean, you can't get onto a defence base unless you go through a whole security system, but you can fly over it and potentially attack the most expensive assets on the base.
What more then would you like to see at this point in terms of defending against future breaches like this?
Well, it'd be great to see the government admit the problem and solve the problem, rather than talk about a distant future where they spend billions of dollars. So I'd like to see them buy effective drone interceptors from Australian companies that make them, and I'd like to see them give airfield defence guards shotguns and rifles with modified rounds, and I'd like to see these drones stopped.
One of the largest calls for government transparency in modern history, the calls for UFO and UAP disclosure. Dr. Eric Davis is an astrophysicist who has investigated unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAPs, for 30 years. He says he's seen things that the American public and the world also have a right to see. He says he's personally seeing classified photos of recovered craft and non-human bodies. The thing is, though, he can't speak out, at least not yet, but he wants to, and he has a message for President Trump. Take a look.
Mr. President, with your signature, you could waive the SF-312 NDA to protect UAP whistleblowers like myself. I respectfully request that you take swift and decisive action, as the nature of UAP should not be kept deeply classified.
So this is Lake Ontario in Canada and in the United States. But we're going to make a little change. We're going to call it something different than Lake Ontario. We're going to call it Lake America. And all it takes is a good pen and some intelligence. So Lake Ontario, that's gone. Lake America. So now we have a lake, and now we have a Gulf, because we have the Gulf of America, now we have Lake America, without the of. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy Lake America.
Today I'm announcing that Canada will match the United States tariffs dollar for dollar, rate for rate. Effective September 8, Canada will impose counter tariffs of up to 15, 25, or 50% on $27.6 billion in imports from the United States of America. For each product, our tariff would match the American tariff on the same type of Canadian good.
They talk about him flying in a coordinated formation, similar to how dolphins playfully swim in a pod. Again, this is an official government document. They clock the speeds from about 250 miles an hour to 1,300 miles an hour. They try to save all of the good footage, not this crappy cell phone footage. But all of a sudden, their DVR inexplicably failed. So
we received the first reports, FBI witness interviews, and digital recreations of these mysterious black triangles that have been observed over the decades. And the former acting director of the Pentagon's UFO analysis office has said that these black triangles are one of two morphologies, the other being these fiery orbs or spheres that have also been reported for decades that have perplexed the Pentagon. And the bottom line from my perspective is that this tranche just reinforces that there is a lot of truly bizarre and on its face anomalous activity in our skies that is just incredibly difficult to explain away. If you actually look through the reports, these are pilots in many cases, they are service members who have decades of experience, and they're reporting things that they simply cannot explain. And the FBI, again, is putting quite a bit of resources into investigating these sightings.
So as the White House tries to find all the most meaningful evidence of UAP that sits within various federal agencies and branches of the military and private defense contractors, they've found that a lot of people who have worked on these classified programs are afraid to tell even the White House what they know because they've signed really strict non-disclosure agreements. So just a few days ago, the administration put out an official statement, the Trump administration put out an official statement making it clear that they will waive non-disclosure agreements signed by people who have worked on these classified UAP programs if those people are willing to come forward in a classified setting and tell either the FBI or the White House what they know. And that's a major step forward for disclosure. It could potentially remove, the last major hurdle to getting to the real evidence.
From your sources, do you know if anybody did that this week after that?
I think some people have started doing it, yeah. And also from my sources, the evidence that's been released in these tranches so far barely scratches the surface of what actually exists.
Glenwood Peischer, known to his family and friends as Bubba, spent Saturday night celebrating with friends at a local bar in Upper Pottsgrove, Pennsylvania. But when the group decided to move the party to a house nearby, Peischer walked alone and mistakenly knocked on the wrong door.
Scene is secure. Go straight to the rear home.
The homeowners called 911 reporting an attempted break-in. Police arrived around 12:29 a.m. and found Peischer in the back of the home. There, officials say, an encounter ensued and he was shot and killed.
At 12:32, we have the call log. He was talking on the phone with his friends. By 12:35, I believe the cops had already shown up and they shot him.
The 22-year-old college student was unarmed. He had a cell phone and a book bag, according to his mother. Police have not released any information on the shooting and said the incident is under investigation.
There was no taser, no nothing, automatic, deadly force.
Have you heard from the police department?
No. We haven't heard anything.
Peischer says her son loved playing baseball, and he was looking forward to playing at St. Elizabeth University.
He was such a good kid, and the community here loved him. And nobody could believe that this happened to this young man who wouldn't hurt a fly.
And the Peischer family says they have not even seen a police report yet. Now, I asked them what justice looks like for them. They say the officer who shot their son should never be allowed to patrol again. And we reached out to the Montgomery County Detective Bureau. They have not gotten back to us. Tom Edson, CBS News, Potts.
New details into the Siders family child abuse case. After receiving dozens of new documents, 10 TV has learned an investigation into two South Bloomingville men led to the discovery of the 16 children to a Hamden home back in June. Officials say an investigation into allegations of sexual abuse involving a minor led to the arrest of 40-year-old Brandon Henderson and 23-year-old Josh Saunders. That triggered a separate investigation into Gary Siders Jr. and Elizabeth Siders, who are now facing sexual abuse charges involving a minor. Tonight, we're learning more about the connection between the two men and the Siders family. 10 TV's Kristen McFarland joins us live in studio to tell us about those new details. Kristen.
Stacia, Yolanda, this investigation began back in December. Tonight, we are breaking down the connection between Saunders, Henderson, and the Siders family.
Let's walk through what we know about the family connections right now. 16 children, ages 18 months to 18 years old, were discovered in a Hamden home in June. 2 of them were the grandparents, Gary Siders Sr. and Christina Siders. Their son, Gary Siders Jr., is the father. He is married to Elizabeth Siders. Gary Jr. and Elizabeth have 16 living children. State records also revealed the couple had twins that died shortly after birth. Court documents say all 4 adults are charged with child endangerment for living in a home with 16 children in conditions that law enforcement described as deplorable. According to birth records obtained by 10 TV, Gary and Christina have another child, Virginia. Records show Virginia married Joshua Saunders Jr. in 2003. Birth records reveal the couple had a son also named Joshua Saunders. The father is currently booked in an Ohio prison in 2009 for a murder conviction. The couple never divorced. According to records, Virginia has since been romantically linked to Brandon Henderson. We have learned through court records that on March 31st, the court ordered a paternity test for 3 of Virginia's children, ages 13, 14, and 15. The court filing says the court wants to determine through DNA tests whether Brandon Henderson or Joshua Saunders Jr. is the father of any of the 3 children.
Named a super El Nino, and rightly so, as you showed from those clips. The temperature above average is going to peak at above 3 degrees above average, maybe even 4 degrees above average. Some of our centres are quoting that. So that's really extreme. We haven't seen an El Nino event like this since 1877. Now, the world was very different then. The climate was very different. It was a cooler climate. It's obviously, we've seen climate change over the last 150 years or so. And we saw famine taking place during that last El Nino event. So tens of millions of people died because crop failure happened across India, across Southeast Asia, and the impact of famine globally. Now, I'm not suggesting that's going to be the case this time around, but in a changing climate, our climate's warmed by 1.5 degrees. This El Nino event will amplify that extra warming even further and make the impacts that we've seen over recent years because of climate change even worse temporarily because of this extreme El Nino event.
We're now well into the hurricane season and things are pretty quiet in the Atlantic right now. Currently, there are no tropical storms or hurricanes, but that is not typically the case this time of year. It was 35 years ago this week that a strong hurricane made landfall here in New England. Hurricane Bob moved through on August 19, 1991. It was a Category 2 hurricane and passed over Block Island. Tropical Storm Irene made landfall on August 28, 2011, bringing with it very heavy rain. All the rain caused the Deerfield River to rise rapidly and led to major flooding. Back in 1985, Hurricane Gloria brought heavy rains and strong, damaging winds. It was a Category 1 hurricane when it hit on September 27th. Hurricane Floyd weakened to a tropical storm when it moved through on September 16, 1999, causing significant flooding. But one of the most devastating hurricanes in history was the hurricane of 1938. It moved in on September 21st and caused major flooding. It also made a mess of the Big E Fairgrounds.
The Met Office is warning sea temperatures in the central tropical Pacific could rise more than 3 degrees above normal in the coming months. That is far beyond the range of a typical El Nino. That matters because El Nino can shift weather patterns across the globe. Central America, tropical South America, including the Amazon rainforest, and parts of southern Africa and Australia are among the regions at increased risk of drought.
Changing the distribution of where that really warm water is has a big impact on where air rises and where air sinks and how the winds around the world interact and blow in different directions. So the effects of El Nino essentially spread out from the tropical Pacific and can have impacts right around the globe.
We're a long way from the Pacific here in the UK, but the Met Office says the event could increase the chances of wetter, stormier conditions this autumn and early winter, very different from the drought engulfing much of the country now. It is also likely to push up global temperatures. The Met Office says 2027 is very likely to overtake 2024 as the warmest year on record, again temporarily exceeding 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels.
The effects of El Nino won't really be felt in the UK until 2027, but if it is as severe as scientists are predicting, it will have a big impact, especially on our wallets.
And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. We're interrupting your regular programming and coming on the air because legendary actress, singer, songwriter, and entrepreneur Dolly Parton has passed away at the age of 80. Her achievements reaching far beyond her humble country roots. Parton was known as the Queen of Country, her career spanning more than 6 decades, including 50 albums. She won 11 Grammys, 3 Emmys, and received 2 Oscar nominations. She was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and at the Kennedy Center Honors in 2006. Born in a 2-room log cabin in 1946 in rural Tennessee, the 4th of 12 children, Parton would write about growing up dirt poor. She began performing as a child and moved to Nashville the day after she graduated from high school. She quickly found success, too, breaking into the country top 10 in 1966. So many of her hits, like Joshua, Here You Come Again, and Jolene, now part of the fabric of the American songbook. And branching out to Hollywood with 9 to 5, which later became a Broadway musical. Throughout her life, Parton was a dedicated philanthropist. Her literacy program, Dolly's Imagination Library, well, it's mailed out millions of books to children all over the world over the decades. And during the pandemic, she gave $1 million to Vanderbilt University Medical Center's research efforts and encouraged others who could, well, make similar donations. Dolly Parton leaves a lasting impact on American music and all of our lives. Our coverage on the death of Dolly Parton will continue throughout the day, and abcnews.com. The entire team standing by for World News Tonight. I'm Kira Phillips. I'll see you back on ABC News Live.
I decided to release Used to Be Young on August 25th because this particular date historically has been important to me personally and in my career.
August 25th because this particular date historically has been important to me personally and in my career.
I've been as poor as anybody could be, so I had everything to gain and nothing to lose. So I just kind of work without fear because it's fun for me. It's like if I fail, it's no big deal. If something don't work out, I'm not afraid of failure because to me, I never feel like a loser. You know, even when I've lost, I still, feel like I'm winning because I'm earning some sort of experience and something that I can use somewhere else. But I have a good attitude. I work hard at being happy. You gotta work at that too.
I work hard at being happy. You gotta work at that too.